Today's December 1st, 2012. 24 more days Christmas. And we're on a boat cruise in December.
Folks, to our left is one of the most historic districts of the United States. It's the Lower East Side of Manhattan, which is historic because it's where millions of immigrants were steered to live as they came off the immigrant ships. Those that were extremely poor were steered to this area where they could find inexpensive but unbelievably overcrowded tenement housing. In 1900, in fact, this was the most crowded area in the world, and the great English author Charles Dickens said it was the worst place he'd ever seen, and we certainly know what he described in his novel set in London. Well, a man that grew up here helped to transform the area. His name was Jacob Riis, and he did so by creating a very important book called How the Other Half Lives, which was a series of very striking photographs and essays that exposed the deplorable conditions here. And well, the book gained widespread publication, led very naturally to an outcry and then to reforms, and the Lower East Side is a thriving area now, doing extremely well. The tenements are long gone. A couple of excellent New York City movies to mention in conjunction with the Lower East Side. One is called Gangs of New York. It's directed by New York native Martin Scorsese with Leonardo DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis, set in the infamous Five Points district of the Lower East Side during the American Civil War years. Also, great scenes from the second Godfather movie with the young Robert De Niro from the Lower East Side. This bridge ahead of us is called the Williamsburg Bridge. It links Manhattan to the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn to the right. Now, this bridge also carries 3 subway lines across it. Most subways go in and out of Manhattan in tunnels under the rivers, but some of them use this bridge. And the one behind us, the Manhattan Bridge. This is the Williamsburg Bridge.
I can see a jogger up there.
Folks, I'd like to talk to you now about New York City's 5 boroughs, and I'll start by making a landmark for you. If you look up the river way up in the distance on the right side, you'll see one skyscraper by itself up there. That blue-green tower in the distance is a landmark for Queens. That's a landmark for Queens, okay? So here we go, folks. New York City has 5 sections that are called boroughs. Manhattan, to our left, was the original New York City, and that was it. New York City was only Manhattan all the way until 1898. Around it, there were some separate towns. Up north is the Bronx. We won't get that far up the river to see the Bronx. Up to the right is Queens. Directly to the right is Brooklyn. And I pointed out Staten Island across New York Harbor. Now, in 1898, a vote was held in all 5 of these separate towns, and it passed. They all decided they wanted to link together and become one city. And the moment that occurred, New York became the 2nd largest city in the world, next to London, 1898. So, when you hear the term borough, it describes a distinct section of New York City that was originally a separate town. One more time, folks. Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. Now, to the right, Brooklyn and Queens are actually both a part of Long Island. That's the very beginning of Long Island right there. And it stretches out to the east, 120 miles. It is a very long island. Brooklyn and Queens are a part of it. Beyond that, Nassau County, and then Suffolk County. Towards the end, the world-famous beach is called the Hamptons. Beautiful lighthouse all the way at the very far end, and a town out there called Montauk. So Brooklyn and Queens are a part of Long Island. Manhattan's an island, and we've got Staten Island. The only part of New York City that's on the mainland of the U.S. is the Bronx, up north. Everything else here is on an island, so I know it's probably not too likely you would automatically think of this huge, dense metropolitan area as an island city, but that's what it is. And in fact, it's the world's 4th busiest commercial shipping port with a tremendous maritime industry and history, with a great New York harbor and excellent waterways all around this very large island city. Queens is by far the largest in terms of land size of the 5 boroughs. What you might find surprising is that Manhattan is the smallest in terms of land size. So it's a vast city beyond the confines of the small island of Manhattan. 35 miles across from the northern end of the Bronx down to the south end of Staten Island. 35 miles across the city. Interesting buildings to the left of the Empire State Building. You see the building, it has that pyramid-shaped gold leaf top to it, left of the Empire State. That's the New York Life Insurance Building that was designed by Cass Gilbert with a tremendous expanse of gold leaf at its top, and it's a beautiful building, both inside and out. Now, notice left is the white tower with a gold leaf ball at the top of it. That's the Metropolitan Life Insurance Building, which was the world's tallest building from 1909 to 1913, modeled on the Campanile at St. Mark's Plaza in Venice, Italy. Beautifully done. The clocks on each side of it are 26 feet across, bigger than the clocks on Big Ben in London. And the building has great lights on it at night. Looks terrific in the evening hours. All right, folks, let's look a little further up the island, up past the Empire State Building, up the front left of the boat. There's a very tall silver skyscraper which has a sharp spire sticking up from it. That is the Art Deco masterpiece, the Chrysler Building, which opened in 1930 as the world's tallest building. It was surpassed only 8 months later by the opening of the Empire State Building. The Chrysler Building was designed by William Van Allen for an automotive corporation, so he put a couple of interesting automotive flourishes into its design. The top silver scallop part was designed to give the idea of hubcaps that are stacked up next to each other. And jutting out from its corners are some rather awesome Silver Eagle gargoyles that are modeled on the 1929 Chrysler car hood ornaments. The building's at 42nd Street and Lexington Avenue, right near Grand Central Terminal. So if you're in that area, go take a good up-close look at the Chrysler Building and step into Grand Central Terminal as well. Both of them right at 42nd Street and Lexington Avenue. If you look up ahead of us to the right here, you'll see a creek that curls back in there. That's called Newtown Creek. And that's the dividing line between Brooklyn and Queens. So this is the very beginning of Queens, just on the far side of this creek here. And if you look up the river a bit, you'll see a bridge. It's called the Queensboro Bridge, which links Queens to Manhattan. New Yorkers refer to it as the 59th Street Bridge. It was made famous by a couple of young fellows from Queens, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. They had a hit song called the 59th Street Bridge song, Feelin' Groovy. That was the bridge they take in and out of Manhattan from their home borough of Queens. Now, under that bridge ahead of us is an island. It's called Roosevelt Island.